Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. It's Thursday. It's 6 p.m. in the UK. It's time for Evening Brews. So, first of all, Simon, one of my very good friends, another person that met through We Are Tottenham TV, is making his debut on Tottenham on Tour. How are you, Simon, buddy?
My friend Brian, thank you for having me on the channel. Looking forward to this one, mate. All good my end. Hope you're well also, and hope everyone out there is good as well.
Yeah, there'll be a few people in here that would have known you from We Are Tottenham TV, and a few people probably from a group we're in will be in the chat. But let's just say hello to everyone that we do at the beginning. Psycho Fox, good morning or evening to you guys. Sorry, I'm losing sight. Channel member. Well, it's not a monathon, mate. I saw this message. I've responded to you. The lack of signings is just same old, same old. This channel completely believes, backs, trusts Ange. It's just the people he deals with that I don't trust. Mark Swift, good evening to you, sir. Be always good to see Swifty. Daryl, big up to you. Edise, big up to you. Peter in Melbourne, big up to you. Jazz Fusion, Cake, good to see you. Matt, who was gifted a membership, I'm guessing. David Shire gave 11 memberships away, or 10 at the start of the show yesterday or this morning. Lewis is here, big up Lewis. Sean Slater, channel member. Lisa in Mexico is here. Cider Dancer, Tweaky, channel member. Andrew Gregory, channel member. Our very own Cough, Tom81, channel member. Brian Maguire, channel member. Alexander Hilton, big up to you. Mark Cousins, Lisa, and Dragon D's Nuts. Right, we're going to get into it straight away, Simon.
Let's go.
Our favourite subject, something that we've wanted for a long time, and Simon, is just how I feel about the board. News broke a little while ago, the weekend, didn't it, about Amanda Staveley?
Yes.
And some more news has broken by Duncan Castles. Amanda Staveley is raising the money in a fund to purchase Premier League club, with her primary target now being Tottenham. Staveley sees Spurs as the most attractive of the assets for external investors at present. Now, I'm going to give my view on this after you, Simon. Where are you with this?
Well, do you know what? There's so much balanced opinion out there about this. I think it's no surprise that a lot of fans over the years, including ourselves, haven't been too particularly happy about the way things have gone at Spurs. So, it was kind of inevitable at some point, with all the investment in the stadium and everything like this, that there would come a time where rumours would become stronger for a potential takeover. And in this instance, it was probably one of the easier ones to sort of facilitate in the media and everything like this, purely from the fact that she's only recently left Newcastle. Did a relatively good job there by the looks of things, and clearly has the funds kind of already, albeit looking for investors on top of that, because she probably doesn't want to put all her own money in there. For it to probably come our way potentially. We've seen a number of names bashed around over the last sort of 24 or so months. This one in particular, I'm not sure, in all honesty, mate. I think for me, I've got the hat on of I want to try and see a kind of traditional, like, British ownership, but those days are very slim. And as a chairperson in general, long gone are kind of those old school days, where we had like legacy clubs, and what foundation of football was kind of built on is just pure business now. And if you look at it from a strategic perspective, Tottenham, there's clubs like Manchester United, obviously absolutely fantastic over many, many decades, They always have a high valuation. There's a lot of clubs out there that have a massive potential to go in there and go, what's the fan base like? We're in the Premier League. All this money's already coming in generically from like TV and everything else that's on top of that. So the structures are all there. And then these companies are now coming in, or consortiums, or even countries are coming into the Premier League and saying, oh, hang on a minute, this is already making money. I can make even more money if I invest in this or take some form of share or full ownership. So with Tottenham, there's already the stadium built. You're potentially purchasing a debt. I'm not going to say a small debt; it's a massive one. But if you are looking at an investment of a lot of money over the next 10, 20 years, you've got a significant opportunity there. So, you know, it's no surprise that we would have a lot of interest in there. But Daniel Levy is a very stubborn person. I'd be absolutely staggered if he gave over full ownership straight away. I could anticipate an incremental, you know, small increases over time, whatever that might be. He says he's a custodian, but we know there's an egotistic element to him, absolutely, where I just can't see him moving aside or sharing that responsibility or thought process. So that's where I'm kind of standing with it. Is I'm not fully against it, but equally, like, there may be some other options out there for us that may appease the fans in a better way. Otherwise we're just going to go further and further down this consortium and business route, and that's where I feel like the distinguish or divide between what I would associate as, you know, long-term kind of Spurs fans, that kind of diminishing even more, and that soul of the club just disappearing. And no, I'm not suggesting that we're all going to stop being Spurs fans. That's not going to happen. We have this conversation in my Portsmouth Spurs group all the time, you know, talking about if whatever owner comes in, I'm not going to stop supporting Spurs, but it just makes it even more agitating as a fan in some ways. So it'd be really interesting to see other people's opinions on this. I know it's so imbalanced. There's no, like, it's kind of like 50-50 at the moment, who wants who. So that's kind of like where I am with it at the moment.
Okay, so let's what I will say, and I've seen some people saying Duncan Castles is like a tier 3. from what I'm being told and from what I know, and there are a couple of people that I've been hearing things from that have been on the same line that I do trust and have got things right. There is some serious weight behind this one. It is a minority. We saw it said when the club was valued at 3.75 billion, that it will be a small stake. I have said, and I have wanted change, as of many others, for goddamn so long. I want another person in the room, the stranglehold loosened, and another voice in the room. And what I will say, Amanda Staveley, I don't know, Simon, did you watch the Newcastle documentary?
No, I haven't seen that at all.
If anyone, I don't know if people in the chat have seen the Newcastle documentary. Now, we all know documentaries can be filmed to show what you want, how you want it to look. Amanda Staveley comes off incredibly well.
Yeah.
In that documentary. You see with the Newcastle owners, we want to be number one. We want to be number one. You see Amanda, when it came to the Anthony Gordon transfer, when it came to making the players, she looked so focused on football and not focused on business. Obviously, she had her husband and the others to do that. I've said many times, I want a voice in the room. Not me, I'd love a voice in that room. Can you imagine? But I want someone else in there. I want someone else. And if you look at what she did at Newcastle, she's actually done very well. They came in, they did individually. Forget everything else. She came in, she arranged it, she got the deal done. She got Newcastle up the league with the help. They didn't go smashing all the money. I think Amanda Staveley did well. Now, I want anyone, and it is going to be a minority. I'm not stupid enough to think, right, this is it, Daniel's gone. It's not. It's going to be a minority stakehold, but surely, so people like yourself and myself, all we've wanted is some kind of change, some kind of change in direction towards the football team more. And another voice in the room that will go, no, we're not doing it this, we need to do that. Obviously, it's a minority.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you feel? Do you think she can have a good impact?
Absolutely, 100%. But as I said earlier, it's more actually Daniel's remittance in himself to be able to hand that exchange over, that bit of power. and again, it comes back to that word egotistic. I think that's where it comes in all the time, where we've seen even in the Spurs documentary a few years ago, where Daniel's got an influence even in team selections and things like this. So he's got his mind all over the place in Tottenham. And I think over the last year or so, he has tried to, with PR letters and things, to suggest to the fans that bringing in a chief of recruitment, this, that, and the other, so I can step away and just focus on the business. Let me make it clear, like, Daniel Levy is one of the best businessmen in the world. There's no doubt about it. From a commercial entity perspective, what he's building is unbelievable. However, as a football chairman, that's where it becomes a bit more questionable, as the orientation about what we are expecting or what we need and want as fans. So to have someone else in the room is absolutely, to your point, the best thing that could probably happen to our football club, just from that starting point. Not suggesting a full takeover or a full change of chair ownership, etc., but just to have that element of a difference of opinion or a difference of strategy. Daniel, you go and focus on your F1 and all this nonsense. Let others focus on the football side. Like, you can be the top of the umbrella, whatever, sign off on this, that, and the other, but someone needs to come in with a completely different mindset of how it's been going the last 20 odd years. Because we say it all the time, Brian, like, I'm personally not a massive glory hunter, but I want to see some trophies, man. Like proper ones. The 2008 one was fantastic because it was against Chelsea. I don't care about the actual cup itself. It was just the fixture, and being at Wembley. But it is not good enough at all. And when you see the branch out of all the different other commercial opportunities, the sponsorships, the names, you go, okay, this is fantastic, but not seeing that kind of like channel itself into the football much, or it's becoming, too complicated. It's too long process, missing out on things all the time, or not wanting to pay that extra bit more. The money's there. So it needs someone in there to go, we want to achieve this. We need to do it by this time. Like Newcastle, they're at the very beginning of their story, by the way. And they've achieved so much stability in that 1 or 2 years that they were there as a consortium. And I think that's what Tottenham needs, But back to my point is, can Daniel actually give away that time and that responsibility to someone else?
Well, do you know what, Simon? We're going to touch on something. I mean, obviously, when it comes to financials, you're a lot more in tune with it than I am. I never confess to being. Now, obviously, there's loads of people, and I agree as well. People are saying that apparently it's, I think, anywhere between 375 million to 500 million that she's raising. Now, people are thinking, okay, I hope that goes towards the football team, or there's other people going, I think that will go towards the debt, the hotel, whatever. Either way, obviously, I would love it to say, right, there's 500 mil, and fill your boots, off you go. It ain't gonna, that ain't gonna happen. I wouldn't even think 100 mil will go for it. But is there, I don't see it personally, because I want it to go on the football team. But if you're looking at this as a financial investment, and I'm only talking about this because this is where Amanda Staveley and all the business people will know, is it going to help Tottenham more in the long run to say, right, let's get this debt way down. Let's get up another, or let's get the hotel up and then that's turning over. I personally, like I said, I would rather 500 mil, off you go and fill your boots. But I don't know the finances and how in the long run doing it the other way works.
It's a really difficult one to fully answer, to be honest, because the end of the day as well, with any kind of investment or any kind of business momentum, is the risk assessment. And I've always brought this point back that if you're one of the top, say, 6 clubs in the Premier League, you've got this momentum in your mind that Man City are just way ahead. Like, they can do what they want, really. I know there's some like laws and, well, supposedly in coming in or around and about. But the fact of the matter is, like, ultimately, at this moment in time, Man City can pretty much do what they want. Arsenal have been creeping up, fantastic structure that they've been building, unfortunately, obviously. But what clubs are going to sit there and go is, well, I could spend 300 or 400 million. This is a massive risk because Man City, for example, have a fantastic depth of a team, like 11 players plus probably another 11 that can come on that are equally as good, sometimes better. So as a business person, you're sitting there and you're going, well, how can we stabilize ourselves? How can we do this? How can we do that? And then it comes back to my point earlier that if you think about the monetary income that's coming in organically, by the way, like this isn't even having to do anything. You get paid a lot of TV money, right? Sponsorships, all this kind of stuff. So that's already ticked that box. It's free money. If you're an investor coming in, you're going, what? So I get this without having to do any work, really? Cool, brilliant. Or the rest on top of it is trying to push yourself up to obviously higher positions and trying to make more commercial outlets from the likes of Champions League, etc. Which we've seen evidently in those seasons that we've been in Champions League. The forecasts and results financially have been absolutely extraordinary and fantastic, that I'm sure is paying off the stadium or whatever. So there's that huge element with most of the clubs thinking in that way. So when you talk about, okay, an investor's coming in, there will have to be money put into that team. One, for the fans to kind of take this on board, to go, this is a good idea. I see the vision. Finally, we get some proper investment in the team. Daniel can continue with Enoch to do all the commercial stuff. This is what they're doing. And it goes back to my point earlier that when you're an investor, or name a rich person out there that gets money in their market or in an investment opportunity, comes out and then goes and spends it all. They don't. They take a small portion out of it. Sure, they spend it tax-free or whatever. But then ultimately they go, right, what's the next thing? I can take this huge pot of money that I've made, aka in this example at Newcastle, how much I've made, take it to somewhere else that's already established pretty much and got a huge infrastructure in place, training stadium, you name it, apartments, cinemas, all the boring stuff. And then how can I then take that, say, this is a random number, 50 million, turn it into 200, 300, whatever. So that's what goes on in their minds all the time. And they know that they have to put some money in to make money as well. That's absolutely guaranteed. But I would say probably the main difference between Newcastle and Tottenham, if they were to come in and do a shared ownership or whatever it might be, is that they would probably know that this is more of a longer term investment than it is, let's go in quick, guys, for 2 years and then we'll jump off somewhere else. Because they don't have that building block requirement or necessity to go and do that. So that's where there's a bit of a complication as to, if someone comes in, whether it's these guys or some other people, what's their mentality, what's their thinking process? And you have to have it with a pinch of salt to think that, oh, cool, loads of money's come in, that it's immediately going to go into the team. Yes, of course we want to see investment, but Newcastle didn't really go and splash the cash massively, yet albeit their proper owners are still there, and we will probably see that facilitation over the next 5-10 years. And it is a long-term thing, but we have to kind of reel it in a bit with the excitement if this was to happen, or whoever takes over or shared ownership, and just consider that in our dreams, in our minds, that we think that this could be, oh yes, now we're going to win titles. I don't think it's going to be that way at all. It's just pure money. Don't care what they say. They can put whatever scarf they want around their necks. They can cheer for whatever team. They can look good for the PR, for the cameras. 2 years down the line, it will be another club. You look at the Gold family, for example, who did a great job at Birmingham for many, many years. Fantastic enthusiasm, wearing the Birmingham scarves, and all of a sudden they're doing the same with West Ham. There's no loyalty in money. So that's where I'm like, cool, new ownerships coming in. They're not necessarily Spurs fans as such, so they're not going to have our mentality as fans. They're just there for the money. And once you have that reality in your minds, you won't be disappointed if it goes the way it's always been going for the last 20 odd years, or if it does, hopefully, get that money in, that you have that bit of excitement that something just might change. So just have the balanced mind is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Michael, I'm going to answer two of the things. I'm going to address two of these things, then we'll move on to the next subject. But whilst we're waiting, big up Ferg, one of my nearest and dearest, big up, and everyone, there's 118 of you. So while I'm just going to go through a couple of Michael's comments, because he was inquiring, I just want from the 118 that are here, whether it be minor shareholder or slightly bigger than we're being led to believe, would you take Amanda Staveley and whatever coming into Spurs right now? Just yes or no. But Michael, the reason that they are being linked is for this. It started on Saturday. They are being heavily linked, and she has been open and she is raising funds to try and get into another team, it had been Tottenham, and you put another one saying that Newcastle massively fell away last season. That's because they had horrific injuries. They had some key players out for a while, but we shall see what people are saying. Side, what do you reckon? Let's have a look. So, yes, 100%, yes. Luke, absolutely no. Yes. Fran has joined. My wonderful Fran. I hope you're good. Alex, if it means transfers come in, that we'd have to wait and see. And I will say, so what I've been told is there's one or two things. This will either happen by the end of the summer, so probably after the window. So don't people think it will be transfers coming in. And if this money is coming in, I've seen people going, how dare Levy raise season ticket prices if he knew extra investment was coming in. So don't expect anything before the window ends. But it's either going to be now. This one, I will say, from what people have been saying, this one has got a lot further down the line than the KSIs, not the KSIs, the QSIs, the American ones. There is something behind this. So it's an overwhelming yes. But now what we're going to do, hey, Colin Crossamano. So yeah, we've got AJ with a super chat. Cheers, brother. Thank you for that. Yes, 100%. People that are putting in questions with the Q or at TOT, I am starring them. The conversation's going thick and fast, but we will deal with them. Next one, and Duncan Castles has been busy man today when it comes to Tottenham and breaking news. People are saying he's tier 3. I said that I believe this the first news is above tier 3 and could be a thing. I'm praying to God that for this is tier 333, because the rumour that won't go away is back up and running again. Tottenham Hotspur are strongly interested, and we need an indicator size, strongly indicated before monitoring the situation. Is it after registering our interest? I don't know where this phrase in buzzword bingo puts us, but Scott McTominay to Tottenham, where are you on this?
I nearly left the room, to be honest. No disrespect at all to the player. I mean, he's a good player, but it's not what we need at all. We keep going around this circus of the transfer window every time. We always have like a tiny bit of hope thrown our way. Some random money is spent on a player or even a young player in this particular situation with Gray quite recently. And then you think, oh, we're doing things early. Things are going to propel here. And then all of a sudden it goes quiet for a long time. At the end of the day, again, balanced mindset here. Try not to go down one way or another. But of course, there's a lot of different regulation changes and things like that in the Premier League. So a lot of the clubs have been quite quiet up until now, with the exception of a few here and there. So, it's not like Tottenham's doing their usual thing again and again. Well, yes, it is. But equally, the anticipation there is that, hang on a minute, we're getting finally rid of all this deadwood over the last 6 or so months. You'd anticipate, and I've always said this, I still don't understand how this happens every year, but in any business I've ever worked in, or for myself, whatever, you think ahead 6, 12, 18, 2 years ahead, right? And from a financial perspective, I'm sure Daniel does that all the time. But from a player recruitment perspective, I'm sitting there going, right, the window ends the same time every year. I'll give or take a week or so. The January one comes the same time every year. So it's not like you finish the summer and then 9-10 months passed and then you go, oh, the window opens in 2 weeks. We should probably try and do something now. So what the hell happens in that long period of time? These people have been brought in to be paid a lot of money, to be honest, not as much as the players and Daniel, obviously, but they get paid a lot of money in respect of things. And we don't see the fruition. There's always some kind of excuse. There's always something. Oh, we're trying, not quite working out, this, that, and the other. And that's where we have that kind of cutoff point of, I only want to spend this much when actually we need to go up here somewhere but we're not willing to do it. And we've seen it year after year after year after year. Jack Grealish will always sit in my head as the prime example that we're talking about, like 4 or 5 million more. Okay, hasn't had the greatest of City seasons, last season or whatever, but that is the example that I've given is that kind of principle of like players are available, but we're not quite wanting to go and push the barrier there. So, looping it back to your previous point about new investment, could that change things? I think something needs to dramatically change. We can't keep, buying players that we hope will be good. We know probably for a fact they're buying them, at these kind of ages, at these kind of talent points, because of the opportunity of profit further down the line. There's no doubt about it. Unless miraculously Tottenham become a major Champions League and Premier League title challenging team, and these players do stay for 10, 15 years and become ultimate, team legends or whatever. I can't see that happening. Hopefully, maybe in my lifetime sometime, but I just can't see it happening in this current ownership. So drawing it back to players like McTominay, it's like, no, not interested. Hopefully, it's just a nonsense rumor, and maybe from his camp that he just wants to move, trying to stir up some interest in the vicinity of the transfer arena. I wouldn't be overwhelmed at all if he came through the doors at Hotspur Way or through the lodge at to come and train one day, and hold the shirt up. We need a lot better than that if we want to start being more serious. We're already starting to fall behind over the last couple of years. We need to stop messing about and get in the good balance of academy, good balance of talent that we've got, albeit at a useful ages. We've got Kulusevski, all of these guys who are like 20, 22, amazing. But we also need a bit of experience, a bit more flair in there, where we talk about the Ezes and all these kind of guys. That's where we need to benchmark ourselves, not with someone that, doesn't really light up the current team that they're currently in for many years. So that's kind of where my stance is on that one.
Yeah, with Scott McTominay, I think it's the biggest load of BS I've ever seen. If he comes, I know for a fact that you can just imagine what social media will do. And I just don't see why we need him. And we were told, from what I remember, it's forwards we're going for. And once the front line rejuvenated, and we're going to come on to transfers next, we're gonna rejuvenate or get the front line sorted. We need to do this. Obviously, don't really have a recognised striker that we can count on, with Richarlison not being able to stay fit, Sonny preferring to be out wide, Lancashire might be going out on loan. So this one, I think people don't worry about this, but I think it's got no hope in hell of happening. Now, before we go to the next one, members chat from my good friend Sean, who's been a member ever since we had them. Big thank you on behalf of all of us for what Tottenham on Tour does for all us fans. Also, great debut from Si. There you go. So, Si, you'll get a lot of plaudits, I must say. And guys, listen, don't get worried about McTominay. Oh, wait a minute. Barca have reached an agreement with Dani Olmo. That's another one. He wasn't going to come in a million years, but that's the kind of quality Tottenham Hotspur should be linked at. This is the type of quality Tottenham Hotspur should be going in for. And I'm now going to bring up, this is the next topic of discussion. And this is not me. I'm bringing up a Paul O'Keefe tweet. This is not me having a dig at Paul O'Keefe. This is not me having a dig, but I just want to break down what he said. Ange wants a couple of new faces in within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Coaching staff will meet tomorrow and players in testing for Saturday and then train Sunday. Now, you just need to look at the dates that tweet was put up. It's the 4th of July. That's at 4 p.m. UK time, obviously not Toronto time. This tweet was put, and everyone says, don't worry, calm down. Listen, Paul O'Keefe said it's going to be 2-3 weeks. And like I said, this isn't about Paul O'Keefe and what he said. This is what we get told. This is what we wait for. This is the window that will be different. This will be the window where there's changes. We're still here. Don't get me wrong. Do I think players will come in? Yes, I do. But surely, when we see, it's just a repeat as always, isn't it, Si?
So in the last 9 months, I practiced Zen for a number of reasons. And it comes into great fruition when you are a Spurs fan, 100%. Because if you have an acceptance in your head, you don't want it to be the acceptance, but if you have the acceptance in your head, it becomes a lot easier to not be so wound up and stressed about it. So I don't think it's a surprise for the last 20 odd years, 22, maybe 23 now, that this is a ongoing circus every summer, every season. Again, back to my point of the planning procedure, like how does this happen? Or set aside the money that you actually really need and take time over it to get that target. And it doesn't always come into fruition at all. So, we got a couple of players come in. Arguably, some were already signed prior to the summer window. Obviously, Bergel's come in, Gray's come in. So, when you say the word couple, and it probably literally meant two, that is all we literally have. So, where's the next statement of Tottenham now want X amount of players by this time? Well, we don't really have it because we know this is how the story goes. And this is where I get a bit of confusion with pre-seasons and things. And of course, the timeframes and the deadlines, etc. is you want as much planning as possible and team integration as possible. So in my mind, you would want your players as soon as that window opens, pre-contracted, however you want to do it, however it needs to be done. Just do it. If you're serious, you will get it done. And that's where I don't think we are that serious. That's where it comes to reality. Because if you're going on pre-season tours and you're doing this, not just obviously for training and match sharpness and stuff, but also team bonding. And it's the best time to collaborate your team, how you want them to play. And Andrew's always been on about that for the last 12 months or so, about the process of how we need to, have a long-term vision of progressing our play, progressing our mentality and our tactics and everything like that. If you start bringing players in with a couple of days to go, a week to go, you know that it's going to be a bit of a process of them, filtrating into the team over weeks or months. So it's kind of a bit of a backwards mentality for me. That doesn't say that I'm against at all any players coming in those last weeks. I'd rather have more coming in than none at all. But we come around to the same boring story every year, where we're like twiddling our thumbs and it's deadline day and nothing's happening. We haven't got Harry Redknapp sticking his head out of the door or anything like that anymore. And having those last minute things come in, it's just purely like, was that it? Oh, that's kind of underwhelming. As I said, with the Zen head on, I'll sit there and I'll go, okay, cool, we are in a process. Last season was already in my head kind of a bit of a write-off anyway. You still get drawn into the emotion of it, like, oh, we should be doing better, we should be doing this and that. We've got rid of a lot of players. I would tick that box to say we have been quite successful in that area.
Incredibly successful, I think, Simon, to be honest.
Yeah, and so when with the balanced hat on, we take our hats off to that process. But equally, why on earth have you not got the replacements already here? Do you know what I mean? So, like, we know that these players have been absolutely shocking for however many years they've been here. I can't believe it took that long to get rid of Sanchez. We've still Brian Gill's only just still gone on loan, I think, not even
with a new contract.
Permanently.
With a new contract.
So this is the crazy thing where it loops back in, where you really try hard not to get agitated and crazy, and then it just snaps, and you're like, why are we doing this again? So as a fan, as I said, if you can accept this is the way, we don't want it to be, but if you accept it, you will be less frustrated and less stressed in your life. And that is what I've done over the last couple of years for sure. And I highly recommend it to other fans out there, because otherwise we will be driven mad every summer and every January for the rest of our lives until Daniel goes somewhere else.
Well, Simon, as you know, you talk about Zen. I was very public, and I always post on the 28th of July every year. It's my next year of sobriety, so I always post blah, blah, blah. The amount of people that go, you're a Spurs fan and you're sober, my God, hats off to you. That is some challenge. And it is. And like I said, the bits I pick up on that you said, and I don't think I went on We Are Tottenham TV yesterday, as I always do. So and I went on about the transfers. I was like, why is it other teams get their replacements in and then sell, whereas we don't? And people, the nonsense people say, they're entitled to their opinion, but they try and break it down and make me sound like, oh, I think we're in relegation trouble. I don't, and this is the thing. I trust Ange, but what I fail to believe is when we brought in Mackenzie and Lange, we brought them in between the deadline finishing of the summer and January, and I even said there and then, I don't think they're going to do diddly squat towards our January targets. They've been brought in to work solely, ready to prepare for this summer and attack this summer, because this time it's the big one. This time things will change. And as I said, and I'll be very open, outgoings, they've done magnificent. The only thing they haven't done well about this is they've had to take hits on people because of years gone by and bad management, bad whatever, Levy over, whatever it has been. But we wanted them gone. They're gone. Archie Gray, I think, is a magnificent signing. 100%. I really do. I think he is. But then you've got Bergvall, who you can count as last January, but looks very, very exciting. But when we've gone in here and there's key areas we needed, striker being one of them, let's face it, and we're still twiddling our thumbs. And then people obviously go, Arsenal have just got stronger. The best defence in the league have just got stronger. Liverpool look strong. They haven't had to make a move yet, but they will. Paul O'Keefe said this last year as well. And it obviously, we started off well, and then we near the end of the window. And don't get me wrong, we could sign players, big players, before the window closes. Could even be before the season starts. We'll all remember last year when we played Shakhtar Donetsk and a certain big 6'7" Dutch guy was in the crowd by the name of Mickey van der Ven. Had 2 days or like a week training, and let's face it, he did rather well for us last season. It could happen again, and I'm not ruling that out. But like you said, surely you want to get some of your key players in with the lads, training, getting used to Ange's style. And Ange's got to be a little bit pissed off, hasn't he?
Yeah, the only thing you could say is obviously if we are going for potentially international players who are obviously part of the Euros, then that kind of equates that they would have come back from holiday, made decisions, thought processes about clubs they might have been talking to, whatever. So there's always going to be that bit of delay. That's why I'm kind of like giving maybe a couple more weeks before I start getting annoyed like I do every summer. So there's that hat perspective. But yeah, I think the thing with Ange at the moment, and this is what I'm hoping doesn't happen as a continuous pattern that we've seen over the years, is where he'll come out with his conferences and say, we got targets, with the club's doing its best. We hear all this like every time. We don't want to hear this nonsense anymore. Like, just give it factually. And I think Andrew's one of those types that if something pisses him off, he's going to tell us in a conference and he won't worry about it. And that's why I loved Antonio Conte so much, because finally it was like someone in the club was speaking the fans' minds, and like the hysteria as to, do clubs actually operate like this? What the hell's going on? Is this even a football club anymore? And I think Andrew's exactly the same kind of principle. He's been given time probably because no disrespect, he's obviously a cheaper manager selection. There's an advancement opportunity, a progression opportunity. I think fans need to be quite patient with that for Ange's sake, not Daniel's sake, for Ange's sake, to entrust in him. That I'm hoping he has had reasoning to some of these players, coming in or whatever, his approval. I doubt if he would, be too happy if too many came in that who's like, I don't want this guy. He's just going to play him. We've seen it. Like, he's just not going to do it. So, we have to give that time. But I'm just always in the back of my head, just conscious that in a year's time, if it continues like this and we go, let's say this summer we go without any more signings, and then January happens and exactly the same thing, or not the right targets that we're supposed to get for Ange to be able to develop the team in the way that he wants and his philosophy and the way the fans want, really, then I can start to see that trickle into his mind and into the conferences, like we saw with Pochettino and all the other managers, where if you took video evidence of a new manager coming in, maybe like halfway through the season, talking about progression and development, then take another clip of like 2 years later, and it's like they're all stressed, their hair's falling out, they're going grey, they're crying in the conferences, and then the third one is a complete absolute meltdown, whether it's about furniture or what is this club? Ange might just go on a giant tangent that we've never seen before in the history of football, and I think that's what worries me, and that should really, if that does happen, should be the nail in the coffin for every single Spurs fan, to start understanding and realizing what a lot of fans have been going on for a long time. Hopefully, the pendulum has swung the other way and we go in the right direction. This is not me saying, everyone knows, like, I'm not a biggest fan of Enoch, but I know, from the business background, the finance, whatever, that there comes a point where someone needs to change the direction of this. And I'm hoping it does it. At the end of the day, if something swings around into a good transition, if Daniel's at the helm or whatever it is, and we go and win stuff and the directions change, happy days. That's not what we're not saying. But what we are saying is that if this pattern does happen, I expect fully that every Spurs fan wakes up to this nonsense. So let's see how these weeks play out. But I am not anticipating anything miraculous because I've been let down too many times.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing, Si. I always have. I'm prepared to be disappointed, and then if you're disappointed, you can't be as mad because you expect it, and if you're surprised, you're surprised, and you look at it. And I will say, if Ange gets off to a bad start, and I keep saying this, people, please don't turn on him. Don't turn on him, because it'll just be another manager and you'll be doing the same every 18 months, 2 years, whatever it may be. There's one man to do it. And the final subject we're going to do before we do your questions is just to show just how. Now, this is going to be, I don't know how people are going to take this one. I'm going for it now. Spurs did what Spurs do today. And this just goes to show what goes on at this club and his lack of caring for them. And people remember, and I've said this 100 times, I'll say it 1,000 times. People like myself, Simon, Ben Kaufman, other people that are leaving out, other channels that are leaving out, the people that are in the group that Simon and I are members of, that we attend the protest, arrange the protest, all say is, we want a better Tottenham. We literally, it's things like this. We go mad. It's not because of just results on the football pitch. It's the history that's being wiped away and forgotten about. And most importantly, the way the fans are treated. Now, YouTube have shown West Ham have shown their pre-seasons on YouTube. Other channels have done it for free. There's easy access. Now, Spurs Play, sign up now for your 50% off your subscription. Enjoy exclusive content. But only you've got to sign up before August the 10th. Now, my view on Spurs Play is season tickets holders should get it for free. Also, people that have got it, apparently there's a £10 auto-renew discount. Well, I hope those people now are getting it for 50% and refunded. You then only get this 50% the week before the window, like the last 2 games, not all of them. So he's made people that haven't had it before the preseason, I want to watch the preseason, let me sign up for 45. And then in the final week does this. I mean, for me, I looked at it, if I was a businessman, which I'm not going to, and I don't know how you feel, Si, I don't know how the people in the audience feel or the viewers feel, I would have given Spurs Play for free for pre-season to see what it offers, to see how much content you can get, and then say, right, it's available. But once the Bayern at home game finishes, that's it. You either sign up and you miss out. So only get a free trial of, let's say, Netflix or whatever you get. Them to do this the week before is just, again, another piss take on all the fans around the world that have paid the amount or thought they're getting a bonus with this auto-renew feature. Oh, I'm going to save £10. And then see him do this. These are the things that make me mad. I mean, Simon, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know how the chat feel about this. What would you reckon, Si?
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I mean, for me, I've never had Spurs Play. From the resolution screen clips I've seen, absolutely shocking. I wouldn't pay a penny. But that aside, you're absolutely right. I think, Champions League finals are a prime example. Like, someone out there had the mentality, the mindset to go, we could make a lot more money if this was free than charging people to watch it. Why? Because you have a humongous amount of more viewers, and therefore the sponsors, when you go and, I've worked in marketing for a number of years. So when we talk to like TV ads or anything like this, or, you sometimes get calls from like the Premier League saying, hey guys, we've got banners around Premier League stadiums. It's going to cost this much and it'll be in front of X amount of views on TV and X amount of views in the stadiums. You can equate a return on investment, blah, 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 impressions, whatever, and sales that might come from after that. So the Champions League final was a great example of how that should be done. I'm not saying all the other Champions League games should be free because, that was the whole tournament won't make much money. But with Spurs play, exactly, great point of give it to free for the summer and you will find that more people will subscribe. Like, I personally, I'm not going to pay money to watch preseason games. Like the highlights come in quick enough, whether through mates or whatever, to go and do that. That's just me. Like some people just want to watch the games. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, to like a week before, that just reads to me as a marketer, that reads to me, you ran out of ideas, you're struggling to get numbers of sign-ups of subscriptions, therefore you can reduce the cost. Because why would you do that? You would only do a 50% off halfway through the season. So what are you going to do in January then? Like another 25% on top of that? You're going to make it 75%? Like it doesn't make any absolutely no. This is where I get a bit mind boggled with some of the crazy decisions in the club. I know this is very minor compared to many of the other things that Tottenham do and don't do, but there's that principle in your mindset where you're like, who's actually like making these commercial marketing, monetary decisions? Because it's not clever at all.
So you got to remember, on Christmas, they actually say, get your 50% discount off of Spurs Play now. And I'm like, well, it should be 45%. It's half a season.
Yeah. All that reads to me is they're struggling for numbers. And there's no surprise why. I mean, maybe if the people who actually run it actually watch them back, they realize, like, apart from the great commentary that's on there, etc., it's not the production side of it is amazing, by the way. Like the creative team at Tottenham is absolutely fantastic as a team. But when you're delivering that in resolutions of like probably like VGA cameras or 720p, like I'm just not interested. Like, why we all got like 4K screens and stuff to watch this crap? So it is that principle of the monetary side of it. And ultimately you could, I don't know how much is a year, was it like 40 odd pound? In the grand scheme of things, you divide that by say 9-10 months, it's not too bad per month, but still it goes back to when we were talking about we're going to raise your tickets, the scene is going to raise tickets, and then all of a sudden you're coming out with a load of other nonsense about money making tactics and this, that, and the other, or so it's just constant wind up, and someone's not there thinking. I was always taught many years ago in my career, always look through the eyes of the recipient. So when you're making these decisions, you're like, how will the fans take this, I wonder? And then think, this is a really good idea. And then, it just opens the door. Some people are just happy to do that. But like, I don't know, maybe my mindset's just completely different. I'll just sit there and go, well, there's obviously a reason why they've done this. And it's clearly because they're not doing well with it. And they would have done it in a better way. As I said, it's a minor issue compared to many other things, but if you start adding all these minor things up, they do become a big thing. So they're not to be ignored at all. But exactly. It's just another weird thing from our club.
That's the thing. That's, like I said, it's not just the progress on the pitch that we go on about. It's things like this that just make no sense. But we just got another super chat. Then we're going to go through some questions. So Michael, thank you for the super chat. Spurs paid a salary for someone to make an Eric Dyer documentary. It will be easier to pay the stadium off than that. You're spot on. Listen, there are documentaries. There's access to loads of stuff on there. But surely you want to entice them rather than it's just this. Right, we'll go through the questions now, Si. We got 12 minutes. How is Spurs going to cope with Europa and no mature signings? Si? What do you reckon?
It's a difficult one for me, and I say it's no disrespect to the tournament. It kind of is, because I think long gone are the days of what the UEFA Cup kind of used to really, really mean. But for me, in my opinion, it's just like it's the European version of the League Cup, like in England. To be honest, like it's not really at the top of my priority. At the end of the day, we want to win trophies. I would absolutely love it if we won this trophy, but only if we're going to take it seriously. What I don't want to see, like we do every bloody year when we're in that tournament, is we'll just play weakened team, or we're just not really bothered at showing up. all us fans turn up on a Thursday night, which is the most annoying day to go and watch football, especially for me, a 3 or 4 hour journey down from Portsmouth up to Tottenham at like 8 o'clock at night, beating all the traffic, rushing around to go and watch mediocre performances. So, there's an element where I'm partially excited this year because I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of the academy players who I think aren't the usual academy players that we've had in the past. These are players that I perceive that could do a really good professional, mature job. Whether it's a full enough amount to go and really push into the competition will remain to be seen. But yeah, it's a great question in the sense that it is. We will know if Europa is a priority for us based on team selections and the performance etiquette. Like that's just how you respond to it. If you see a team like Liverpool, they'll go and take it seriously. Or teams that want to win trophies because it's a channel into the Champions League. The ultimate thing here for me is our team strong enough for a top 4 position? Yes or no? Don't know yet until the end of the summer, but it's going to be absolutely difficult. So why not have a go at this tournament properly? But to do that, you need good, solid 11 players and you need good depth. And don't think, oh, it's so-and-so from league, whatever, in that country, we'll breeze past it, because it never works like that at all. We've seen that in many instances with our teams in the past. So, it's a great question in the sense that how are we going to cope with it? Well, we need those extra players in. There's no doubt about it, because don't want to chuck these academy players in at the wrong time where we're losing games or not the right mentality to go and win something. You need that balance, that cohesion to go. We got some winners, we got some World Cup winners, and all of this kind of stuff. We got good academy foundation players coming in now as well, and we've got a good group of players. We need to add to that and not let it slide where these academy players come in and think, oh, is this how it's going to be for the next few years? I think I'll just jog on to another club. So that's kind of where my mindset is with that one at the moment.
Yep, I actually think a certain owner may, once we get out of the group stage, please God, may favour this, because it may be a clearer pathway to the Champions League than actually the league. Stuart has got a question for us. Now that Dyer and Pierre have gone, who will have the job of pointing at each other now? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. Who's going to be chief pointer? I'm going to go Bentancur.
Chief pointer. Yeah, do you know what? I called out for many, many years and people just like ignored it. And I was like, I think it's different when you're in a stadium. Like I'm just that way mentally anyway. I like look at every single bit of detail in life. Like it's part of like my Spurs and stuff where I just like see things differently to everyone else. So like there's a game of football, I'm watching it, but I'm also going like, how many tiles are on the stadium? What's going on over it? And the amount of times I'm looking at players and going like, what's that player doing? Like, why is he there? Well, hang on a minute. He's just missed this ball come across, but he's pointing at everyone else. And that's why that's happened. So, it's kind of a bit of a weird one. I'm thinking, hopefully, that Andrew's drilled into every single one of those players that concentration is the ultimate or one of the big keys to become a successful team. Like, and in the periods where you think, we're 2-0 up now, which will calm it down. That's when you need to be most awake, not pointing at things and blaming someone else or looking around thinking, oh, someone else must be responsible for this. No, I'm tired of that, So who's the next pointer? I hope no one. I hope everyone's gone now that just stopped doing anything.
There we go.
Yeah, I know there's some Emerson fans out there, but
he'll be gone.
The last ones I need to just go. And I just want to enjoy going to games again and not have to have that kind of concern in your head. Like, can I count on this player today? Because I haven't done so before. And there's a couple of edgy players still there where I'm just like, if you guys go and some new ones come in, I'm going to start enjoying going up again. So yeah, let's hope there's no more pointers and more goal scorers and more creativity going on.
There you go. We've got a few more questions to do, Si. We'll fly through them. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife after this. If Amanda did get into Spurs, do you think it will be short-term like Newcastle or for the long haul? Si?
I think it's what we said earlier, isn't it? I mean, I think Tottenham's very different to Newcastle because the foundation at Tottenham is already there. So I think it would be more of a long-term play. I can't envision, because Tottenham is already kind of up there in the financial status and in the infrastructure, to take it from this level of like, yeah, for the overall amount, let's just say it's 3 odd billion, to take it to 6 or 7, that's not going to happen overnight. It's like the investment markets, right? In crypto, people think they'll be a millionaire overnight because they've watched some YouTube channels. It is not like that at all. You have to sit there with 5, 10, 15 years in your head. Newcastle was an exception in the sense that they went, cool, little foundation. There's a lot of things that need to be done here. Let's put a bit of strategy in here and see what money we can make that money that we need to, and then go find something else. That's how all the rich people do it. So for me, in my opinion, it would be more of a longer term. And I don't think Daniel would want someone in there if it was a shared ownership infrastructure just for 2 years to just make a load of money and bugger off again.
Sean, I would say longer than Newcastle, but I can't see it being the same amount of time that a certain person's been there. Before we go on with the other questions, Tom81, thank you, brother. Thank you for donating a super chat to the show. Just say thank you for all your hard work, guys. Appreciate it, buddy. Right, next one. For me, just for fun, who would you take at Spurs? Haaland, Mbappe, or Lewandowski? Si, which team will... Okay, just for me, who would I have, Haaland, Mbappe, or Lewandowski? In this team, I would say Haaland. I would go straight for Haaland. But Si, which team will you think make the biggest surprise in the Premier League this year?
Which team would make the biggest surprise? Oh, I don't know. I would actually maybe say if they can keep hold of their players, I think Crystal Palace could have a massive season this year.
Well, they got rid of Elise, so well, let's hope they can get rid of Eze, but we'll see. Oh,
come to Spurs.
Yeah, just come. Tom's got another question. What price do you think Enid will finally agree to sell the club for? I'm thinking around the 8 billion mark. Well, if it's like Simon just said, and it increases, I hope it's less than that. But Si, what do you reckon?
I think it would definitely need to be less than that for sure, because an investor will come in and go, well, I've got to spend a lot of money just to buy this thing, and then I've got to spend a lot more money to make my double investment. You know, we're talking about percentages, like investors like that are going to want to make more than 10%, like, and that's a lot of money's worth when you're talking about billions. So, that's where I think the shared ownership will start first, and then see how that goes. A full ownership is going to take a massive business or consortium, not an individual, a consortium, and that's where questions will be asked of Spurs fans. Is that really what you want? Because the grass is not always greener.
There we go. We've got 2 questions left. One from you. Why have the current ownership not been investigated when Joe Lewis put in a trust? Abramovich was not allowed to do with Chelsea. They put it in the trust way before this broke. They knew what was coming. Joe Lewis signed it over. And all of his stuff has been it hasn't got I think they looked into it, didn't they, Si? But Tottenham, any money coming in or whatever wasn't factors as part of Naughty Joe's business transactions, was it, Si?
Yeah, I would be absolutely amazed if Daniel and Joe had not thought about that preemptively. Not saying that they have from a legal perspective, but there's no way that they would have allowed such a huge thing to stamp on a potential infrastructure like Tottenham is. And from Abramovich's perspective, a lot of that was driven around politics, probably as well on top of that. Yep. So it's a bit of a difficult one to really get a full answer to.
Exactly. And Tottenham are very good at hiding things, as loads of other institutions, and that will stay. Right. MJ Marquez, Tottenham, what annoys you the most? The fact that we seem to be solely a business, not a football club, or the fact that we have loads of money and we do not? It's both.
Mm-hmm.
It's both. Listen, if he turned around and said, right, I'm going to give back to the fans and give loads, but if he started honouring our traditions, if he started honouring the cups, if he started honouring everything, if he started treating the fans with some respect and investing in the team, things would change. Me and Simon, I'd love it if we signed Eze, Neto, let's say Tony, which ain't going to happen, a midfield. People like me and Simon, shut up. We're like, well done. You've done what we've asked for. Now let's see it. So for me, I can't divide. But like I said, the 3 things I protest for and stand for is the very fact that Levy is what he hasn't invested on the pitch, the fact that he is wiping away the illustrious history we had, and the way he treats the fans. and that's in no order. They are the three pillars for me. Same for you, Si?
Yeah, I think that the ultimate thing is fans first. I think these days are diminishing quite quickly. I always felt like the soul of Tottenham went a long time ago. We're trying to cling on to what we can and try and push that, or pull that back in. And it's no different to any other football club out there. I think, football, as we have in our heads from the older days, is long gone. Like, this is business. This is business and money. That is all it is. They can put out whatever PR statements they want. I read straight through those. I know why they put them out there. I know why they put them out at certain times, and I don't trust or believe any of that nonsense. It's just pure money. Otherwise, we wouldn't be building all these crazy things around the stadium. We'd be putting that money instead in the team. Yeah,
right. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap up there, but I will let people know. And I will be on Chris Cowling's tonight. I will be on Chris Cowling's show at 9 p.m. tonight, my second appearance. Now, me and Chris, this is going to be, from what he's telling me, we're going to be talking about the transfer window. Going to be talking about the board, going to be talking about all things Spurs and people in the chat asking questions. Now, one of the reasons I've been able to get on there is because obviously I've now gone from what Simon saw at very, very close quarters, shouting, screaming, bitching, moaning, yada, 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 rah, 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 Levy's this, Levy's that, Levy. That platform wasn't working to get it out. I will be going on there. I will be speaking Levy out. I will be saying how much I do not like him. I will be going on about everything I do, but I am not. Look, people, you could say sellout. I ain't a sellout, mate. Believe me. Preaching to the converted, 52,000 people that go to the game say they're going to come and protest, never ever turn up. The way that we've gone on and the way I'm doing it now is I am still as Levy out as I ever have been. Nothing will ever change that. But Levy out has such a bad reputation for being toxic on Twitter, as does people on the other side, as does everything else. So it's like, why don't I go on and have a conversation where people will listen, have a talk, have a debate, and actually see that we talk and we do love the club, we do care for the club, and reach a bigger audience. So that's the way that we're doing it. I will still be saying Levy out as often as I can on there. I will still be bitching and moaning about him, but I'm not going out there and start going, Levy's a cunt, Levy's this, Levy's that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. I will do it constructively, rationally, balanced, and call it as it is, like I always have done. If you are in the chat, don't start putting comments in like rude or vile to Chris or to me. If you think I'm whatever, it's going to be a chat. It's good, and I'm trying to show people that people that are Levy out don't just scream toxic stuff, abuse everything. It's done. There's people there that want change but can hold a conversation. So if you want to join and be a part of it, please feel free to do so. Simon, where can people find you?
Oh, well, yeah, you can find me if you're interested in crypto investing kind of things or just learn. I don't really shill things. It's more of an education platform. So you can find me on the Whales of Wall Street if you're interested in coming aboard on that kind of stuff. So that's where you can find me, or I will be on the beach in my South Sea town.
And just finally, thank you very much, Tweaky, for the members chat saying great show tonight. Thanks to all at Tottenham on Tour, Levy out. As I said, Simon, it's been your debut, but we'll have you back many times. I can't believe it's taken so long for your debut. All I will say, ladies and gentlemen,
almost taken as long as the last trophy, mate.
Yeah, almost. But all I will say to you people, have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever it is what you're doing. Have a great day. See you tomorrow on Morning Brews with the boys. I'll be back on with the fan show with Dave. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, Levy out.